Hello everybody, welcome to the Coaching Conversation. I'm Graham Wiley and I've been coaching business leaders for the last 2 decades. In this series we're going to explore some of the things I've seen and learned in that 2 decades and hopefully help you see how you can become more focused, more effective and hopefully happier in your life. So it's now time to sit back, relax and enjoy the Coaching Conversation. Hello everybody, welcome to this edition of the Coaching Conversation. The subject I want to talk through today is the subject of career coaching. How do you as a coach tackle quite a difficult, potentially conflicted conversation with a coachee about developing their career? And I'll explain why I mean it's potentially conflicted in a second. But the truth is, the role of the coach in helping develop someone's career is pretty fundamental to the purpose of coaching. You're there to help the person become the person they want to be, achieve the things they want to achieve, and that cannot omit the subject of career. The conflict therefore arises if you are being paid for your services by the employer and it could be construed in some way that you're effectively facilitating their talent to leave, which clearly would be a conflict. So let's just deal with types of career coaching first of all. Well, if you're a business owner, possibly a business leader, you may feel that you've achieved what you set out to achieve in your career. But for most people, that isn't true. It just has a slightly different nuance to it. If I own a business and I want to continue to develop my business, I want to continue to develop myself, it's just that I'm taking more direct responsibility for that career. That career, therefore, is mine. I have more opportunity, more authority, but I need to take it. I need to use it. I need to apply it. And so as a coach, it's about asking the simple questions of what do you want to achieve? At the end of your career or when you finish doing this, what would you, when looking back, like to think that you had achieved? What would it look like? What would you be proud of? What would the milestones be? And then you can plot a course with them as to how that might be established, how they might take steps in all of those different pieces we just touched on to improve, to grow, to achieve the things that they've identified as being important. So just because you own a business doesn't mean your career is at an end. It's just got a slightly different name. As a manager, a senior manager, an executive, a leader, as an employee of an organisation that has chosen to coach you, you really need to think about your own personal development in the context of what you want to achieve, both long-term and ultimately, but also within the context of the organisation that's currently employing you. Because the reality of life is that's where you are. The reality of life is that's your start point. And you're very unlikely to be on a coaching program because you're unhappy at work. You're very unlikely to be on a coaching program because that your employer doesn't value you very much. So the truth is the first and biggest opportunity in front of you as a coach is probably within the organisation you're currently at. So then again, the process is not dissimilar. What is it ultimately you'd like to achieve? When you retire, what would be the things you would say that you would achieve that were what you wanted to achieve? And they're very rarely money. It'll almost certainly not be money. It'll be something else. It'll be a job title or an impact on society or a role of fulfillment in some description. So it could be international travel, it could be a board position, it could be responsibility for changing something. There's a a spectrum of things. And for most people, that would turn into a very small shopping list, but a very important one. And as we start to unpick that shopping list, we can talk about, well, where are you now on that particular agenda item? What would the next steps logically be for you to improve in that direction? And you do that multiple times with the multiple items on the shopping list. And then that could be a mixture of study, of learning. It could be a mixture of experience. So it might be finding outside interests that give you additional learning. So, for example, governor of a school or a non-executive directorship or a trusteeship in a charity or a third sector organisation. It could be something else completely, like lecturing or teaching and sharing your experiences with other people. The whole point is, whatever works for the individual, whatever excites them, interests them, and clearly adds to their portfolio and is a step towards their ultimate games, that'll be the right thing. Because these situations are highly personal, they're usually unique. So it's not that there's a one-size-fits-all answer to career coaching. That's almost never going to be the case. And the more senior the position, the more likely the challenges are going to be even more unique. So it could be, I need to learn a foreign language. It could be, I need to get experience in a particular sector of the business that I have no experience of. So I'm the sales director, I could really do with understanding finance. I'm the production director, I could really understand better how customers are behaving. I could be the finance director and I really do need to get better at managing people. How do I do that? And it goes on. And so as a coach for career coaching, the first stage is to ask people, what career do they want? And then the second question is, so where are you on achieving that? And how do you think you could close the gap? What would those next steps be? And taking those next steps and supporting them through that part of their life, which often involves a degree of risk, a degree of challenge, is the role of the coach. It's also the role of the coach to keep them accountable. If they say they're going to try and do something, then hopefully that's what's going to happen. And you'll be there to remind them if they've decided not to give it the time and importance that they thought they would. As a coach, when it comes to career coaching, how do you manage this balance between helping them find ultimately what they want to be and moving in that direction and staying loyal and committed to their current employer? Well, the reality is, if they are so determined to leave, if they're so determined to become something that the organisation can never accommodate, there's nothing you can do about that. And pretending that it's not there and it isn't going to happen is foolhardy. However, what you can do as a coach is get them to examine whether or not the opportunities really do exist internally, because they may well do, they're just not apparent to you. Perhaps a conversation with your boss or your boss's boss would unlock that opportunity for you in a way that you think is currently cut off. It may well be that by encouraging you to take the additional learnings, additional experiences, you unlock those opportunities in the eyes of the people around you. And as I said right at the beginning of this session, very often the people that are on coaching programs are people organisations value. And they want you to grow. They want you to develop your talent. And they recognise that in doing that, they've got to provide continual challenge and development. And so often the conflict for the coach is much easier to manage than it might appear. And it's not inappropriate or overly conflicted to be helping people develop themselves, because ultimately that's very likely to be to the benefit of the sponsoring organisation right now. So there you have it. Career coaching. I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. So, there you have it. The latest edition of the Coaching Conversation. Hope you found it interesting. Hope you found it useful. You can find out more about our coaching programs at theexecutivemindset.co.uk. If you want to reach out, you can send me an email at theexecutivemindset@sagegreen.com. You can book a free 30-minute session at theexecutivemindset.co.uk, which will give you a really good feel for how coaching could help you. And if you've really enjoyed the session, do please rate us, do please give us a review. And nothing more for me to say other than see you next time.